3 millennia and 5 centuries after the children of Dune, we have God Emperor of Dune, which shows us that the Emperor has more control than ever before. We return to Arrakis, now Arrakis, at a time when the vegetation on the planet is at an all-time high. Greens cover the surface of the planet save for one small area, the Sarir, where the Emperor resides. Leto Atreides II, son of Paul Muad'Dib, is transforming into a worm and is the last of his kind, save for the sand trout growing inside of him. All that remains of his original appearance are his face and vestigial limbs that hang and protrude off of his enormous worm body, which is carried in a cart. Some consider his methods inhumane, but Leto Atreides II is leading the Empire towards the Golden Path, a path he hopes will prevent humanity from tearing itself apart. To bring humanity down the Golden Path, he has halted spice production, only doling out enough for the Space Guilders and Bene Gesserit and whoever else for pre-approved travels. He summons the Tleilaxu to provide with him a new Gola of Duncan, Idaho, after he has, yet again, killed another. His sister Ganima's line is still intact. His major domo has a daughter, Siona, who is the leader of a rebellion against Leto. We are introduced to her from the very start when she is looking to steal Leto's journals, guarded by his wolves, which he mysteriously approves of. Later, the Ixians send a new ambassador, Hui Nori, who's designed to trap Leto. The God Emperor is aware of this plot. He still falls in love with her, all the same. As Duncan, Idaho becomes more aware of the plans of Leto, he begins to question the allegiance of the Atreides house that he holds. You see, there are fish speakers, a military force consisting of women, that lead to a number of questions for the reader and for Duncan. Leto's plan, ultimately, is for Siona and Duncan, who hate each other, to procreate. And as much as they hate each other, they both vie for the ultimate death of the God Emperor. This novel explores the cycle of human society through Leto Atreides, and we see him use his precognition to see what lies in fate for humanity. He desperately hopes to avoid the inevitable outcome of total destruction by leading down his golden path, which is ultimately a method of destroying the government he is in charge of, with far fewer destructive repercussions. He's able to see all of this because he has all the minds of all the generations and generations before him, due to Chani's consumption of the spice melange when he was born, leading to him and his sister being the oldest children ever born, so to speak. There is an incredible amount of philosophy on power and its effects, and Leto is a mouthpiece for all of that. Leto firmly believes that he's doing the right thing, and he wants Siona to see that too, so he tests her in the desert, in his Sarir. However, this was perhaps the most difficult Dune book to read, with heavy topics you can expect from Dune, an imaginative world, rich and layered world building. I find that this is probably the hardest one to enjoy, and probably bears rereading at some point to fully appreciate it, because it's a lot of talking, and talking and talking, which every Dune is, but this one more so than the other three. It sets itself apart in tone and in themes, and seems to be a transitional book from the first three to whatever is coming after this. I am excited to see where the series goes from here. It's gotten quite weird, and I've been told that it gets even weirder. I'd like to share one of my favorite lines from the book before I end this, and it is when Leto Atreides is talking to Moneo, his major domo, and he says, "We are the myth killers, you and I, Moneo. That's the dream we share. I assure you from a god's Olympian perch that government is a shared myth. When the myth dies, the government dies." And if that's not something from the most powerful being in the known galaxy to be saying, especially after he's given all sorts of names for other leaders, Caesars, Kaisers, Palatos, Pharaohs, all these kind of things, and suggesting that he hopes, expressing his wishes that he will be the last of the lot. It's an interesting journey to see what Leto's golden path is and his philosophy on power, or Frank Herbert's philosophy on power. And I am curious to see what happens in Book 5. How do you feel about this book? Which Dune novel is your favorite? Let me know what you think of this one, or any of the other ones, or what I'm in store for. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you, and goodbye.